Pokémon. One of the most acclaimed video game franchises of all time. And for good reasons too. Since Generation 6, there are over 700 creatures to choose from. So there's a Pokémon out there for every taste. And today, I am going to tell you which Pokémon I personally like the most. I will list my top 10 favorite Pokémon. It is also worth noting that I started playing since the Red and Blue days, back when it came out in Europe in 1999, so I am considering all generations from 1 to 6. My picks for this list are influenced by competitive play, so you won't be seeing any not fully evolved or horribly weak Pokémon on here. On the other hand, you're not going to see a list full of Ubers or OU tiers either, because stats aren't everything. Personal bias or preferences also have a big influence here. In other words, beware of something called an opinion. So I do not want to see any "this list is too biased" comments. Thanks, Captain Obvious, of course it's going to be biased. It is my personal countdown after all. You can still comment your opinion though if it is constructive. But before we start, we have to make up some rules in order to make things a bit more interesting. Rules are as following. Only the main games count. I do not take the anime, the movies, the trading card game or any of the spin-off games into consideration. I only look at the canonical setting of the main series of the games. This rule also takes Super Smash Bros. Out of the picture. Only real Pokémon count. That means no glitch Pokémon. And the last rule, ties are allowed. So, let's not waste any time and get right to the countdown. Enjoy! To start things off, I am one of these odd women who actually like spiders. I think they're cute. So since Generation 1, I thought to myself, wouldn't a spider Pokémon be amazing? My wish was granted later on, when Gold and Silver came out. This generation gave us Spinarak and Ariados. I immediately caught and raised one, only to find out that it sucked. Ariados is crippled by its bad stats. Sure, it has a good attack stat, but if you're that slow and frail, combined with a ton of weaknesses, it won't help you anyway, so sadly I didn't use it that much. Then, many years later, Generation 5 came along and redeemed itself with the introduction of Galvan Sheela. Yeah, that's right, I really like Galvan Sheela. Even though it has the bug type, a type which I don't really like that much, it is also part electric type. It is a fast and dangerous sweeper. Galvan Sheela also has better stats than Ariados, and it has an amazing ability called Compound Eyes, which boosts its accuracy by an astounding 30%. You know what that means, right? Just teach this beast Thunder, because then Thunder will have the accuracy of 91% instead of the usual 70%. Combine this with a good special attack, high speed, and a base power of 110 of Thunder, and you get a dangerous electric spider ready to sweep teams. Awesome, isn't it? Its shiny form is terrible though. There's barely any difference. Moreover, it's very frail, so do not expect this to withstand many hits. And here comes another Pokémon from Generation 5. Meet Chandelure. Chandelure is so cool. The design is awesome and it is very creative. It is fun to use and its typing is one of the coolest in the game. I always wanted a ghost/fire Pokémon and I finally got one, and a good one at that. Chandelure, just like Galvan Sheela, is a glass cannon. With a maximum special attack of 427, there aren't a lot of Pokémon who withstand its powerful stab-boosted Shadow Ball. You can also teach it Heat Wave, just to destroy your opponents in double or triple battles, because Heat Wave can hit multiple Pokémon at once, just like Blizzard. The only real drawback to Chandelure is the fact that it is not that great defensive-wise, like I said before. But other than that, it's a very fun Pokémon to use. I really like the electric type. You know what other type I really like? Water. Combine the two, awesome Pokémon! Lantern is hands down my favorite Generation 2 Pokémon. It is really useful because you can play it as a wall, as an annoyer, and even as an all-out special attacker. Lantern has an amazing HP stat, so making it faint is not that easy. It also has a good ability called Volt Absorb, which makes it immune to electric type attacks, and it gets healed if it is hit by one. Lantern is also super cute, which is ironic considering the physique of the animal that it is based off. Blech. As some of you might know, I love space and anything astronomy related. I also love the psychic type, so it doesn't come as a surprise that Cresselia is on my list of favorite Pokémon. Cresselia is a heck of a defensive Pokémon. She has great HP, defense and special defense, so good luck getting rid of her. Cresselia also has an access to a large variety of moves, so that makes her all the more useful. She can attack with her Moonblast or Stab Psychic, she can heal herself with Moonlight, and she can give you status ailments with Toxic or Thunder Wave. Cresselia also has one of the best abilities in the game, which is Levitate. This ability gives you a free immunity to all ground type moves. It also gives you the very helpful immunity to spikes and toxic spikes. Cresselia also has to be one of the most beautiful Pokémon out there. Forget Milotic, this thing is a true eye-popper. The first time I saw her, I was amazed by this Pokémon's gorgeous design. Coming back to water-type Pokémon, you really have a huge choice there. In fact, as of Generation 6, 16.8% of all the Pokémon available have the water type, or 124 Pokémon if you prefer. Despite this, you really get to see the same water Pokémon used over and over again in competitive play, such as Gyarados, Greninja and Kyogre, which is totally understandable, but still a bit sad. However, the Pokémon on this spot is not in that category at all, as it is extremely underrated. This Pokémon is no other than Seaking. I know what you are all thinking. Okay, obvious joke out of the way now, I'll continue. Seaking is really underappreciated by the majority of Pokémon fans. I know it does not have the best stats or a super huge move pool, but in order to use Seaking successfully in competitive play, you must know how to use it. First off, Seaking has an amazing hidden ability, which is Lightning Rod. With this ability, Seaking becomes immune to all electric type attacks, so one of the water type's major weaknesses is just poof, gone. To make things even better, Lightning Rod, as of Generation 5, when hit by an electric type attack, boosts your special attack. So it is basically a free immunity and boost at the same time, and a very useful one at that. I used Lightning Rod Seaking in doubles and triples right next to another Pokémon that had an electric type weakness, and Seaking's ability just absorbs it, as it forces the attack to hit. That's so useful, and the funny part? People do not expect this at all. Furthermore, Seaking with this ability is actually a hidden gem. Its attack stat is pretty good, and it can go as high as 311, which is amazing. So that stab waterfall will hit very hard. Sure, it does have a rather shallow move pool, but the attacks it can learn, such as Poison Jab and Mega Horn, cover its weaknesses pretty well. With Lightning Rod, you don't even need to care about electric types anymore, so the only real weakness Seaking has is Grass, which is not that hard to counter anyway. Also, personal bias does have a huge influence here as well, mainly because goldfish are one of my favorite animals. They're just so adorable. All in all, Seaking surely isn't the best water type around, and it probably never will be, unless it gets a Mega Evolution or something like that, but with Lightning Rod, you get something your opponent would have never dreamt of. F*** yeah, Seaking! We are still not done with water types. This one is not a pure water type. It also has an amazing second type. It is no one else than Empoleon. Where do I begin? First off, it's a penguin. Just like with sea king and goldfish, the first reason I love Empoleon is the fact that it is a penguin. Penguins are also one of my favorite animals of all time. When I saw the Generation 4 starter reveals, my decision was already crystal clear. I will choose Piplup, that's for sure. Not only does it have an amazingly cool design, but it is also a good Pokémon to use in my opinion. Empoleon, because of the wonderful and unique Water/Steel type combination, resists 11 out of the 18 types. That means that it has the second highest amount of resistances in the game. Incredible! Empoleon also has the highest special attack of any starter, not counting Mega Evolutions. It can be used in many different battle styles, such as a sweeper or tank. I am so glad that we got Empoleon, because we did get a penguin Pokémon before, but let's just forget about that train wreck. For many years now, we got more and more feline Pokémon, which I really like because cats are also one of my favorite animals. But sadly, some cat-like Pokémon aren't that great. But then, Generation 6 came along and gave us Meowstic. Meowstic is a very creative and fun to use Pokémon. Both genders learn different kinds of attacks, which is very unique. Contrary to traditions or clichés, however, it is the female Meowstic that is offensive and the male Meowstic that is defensive. The most important thing, however, is the fact that these movesets work really well. The female Meowstic gets the hidden ability Competitive, which is a special version of Defiant and one of the best abilities in the game. It boosts her special attack by an astounding 2 stages if one stat is lowered. Oh, what is that? You got Intimidated? Well, thank you for that free boost. The male Meowstic also gets a very fitting hidden ability called Prankster, which gives all of his status moves priority. Seeing how this Tomcat is built around status moves, this makes it even more fun to use. Their main 2 abilities, Keen Eye and Infiltrator, are not bad by any means, but their hidden abilities turn them into some really fearsome felines. These cats are also Psychic type, which for me personally is a huge plus. I just had to have one on my team. But Meowstic is not the only Generation 6 Pokémon that I like. I was really looking forward to the Fairy type once it got announced. I hoped that we would be getting even more amazing Pokémon, and I was not let down at all, because with it came Florges. Florges is my favorite Fairy type Pokémon. She has a gorgeous design. Her special defense is outstandingly good, and her special attack is good as well. I know her defense isn't that great, but if it was, she would probably be horribly broken. Florges has nearly all the advantages that grass types have, without actually being a grass type. I welcome this because I am not that fond of the grass type, and then she would have a quadruple weakness against poison. Florges can learn Synthesis through a move tutor and other useful grass type moves, such as Energy Ball and Aromatherapy. Oh, and she's a very versatile Pokémon too. Florges can be played as an Annoyer, a Cleric, a Tank and an all-out attacker if you want to. She also has a greater hidden ability, Symbiosis, which makes it possible for her to pass an item to an ally. Is it a dragon? Is it a plane? Actually, it's both at the same time and it is awesome! Latios is a really awesome dragon Pokémon. He's not just a boring stale dragon. Latios is a cross between a military jet and a dragon. Mind blown! Fittingly enough, he's also very strong and fast, just like a military jet. Moreover, Latios has great stats overall. He is also gifted with a huge move pool. Want a fast special sweeper that can actually take a hit or two and has a huge type coverage? Then Latios is one of the best choices you can make. I played Latios a lot and he never let me down. In Pokémon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, he even got a huge buff a Mega Evolution. Not that he needed the buff anyway. Before the Mega Evolution, we had the Soldew, which boosts Latios' special attack and special defense by a whopping 50%. Yeah, that stab Draco Meteor will hurt. Latios has the amazing ability Levitate, which I explained already with Cresselia, but it gets even better. In Pokémon Omega Ruby, you get a Latios that you don't even have to catch, and you get to soar around Hoenn. I personally hate to always carry around an HM slave with me, so this was a very welcome addition to the main series. Just pull out your Ion Flute and you're done. No more HM Fly, and on top of that, you get to catch a lot of legendary Pokémon this way. Thanks Latios, that makes you even more awesome. Even though Latios is a super versatile Pokémon and really fun to use, there's one that is better. But before we get to my number 1 pick, let's do a quick recap. Number 10, Galvan Sheela. Number 9, Chandelure. Number 8, Lantern. Number 7, Cresselia. Number 6, yeah, Seaking! Number 5, Empoleon. Number 4, Meowstic. Number 3, Florges. And number 2, Latios. Now here we are at my super obvious number 1 spot. No, seriously though, it's Latias of course. Was that hard to guess? No. But now I can finally explain why Latias is my favorite Pokémon. Latias has all the positives that Latios has, but overall she is much better. Let me expand on that. While Latios is a great Pokémon to use, he's not really that bulky. Latias, on the other hand, has more bulk. She essentially is a better version of Latios. The thing is that Latias is not limited to the special sweeper role like Latios is. Latias can be freaking anything. Special sweeper, her stats and move pool allow it. Special wall, her stats and move pool allow it. Annoyer, ditto. Supporter or healer, ditto. Booster, ditto. Choicer, ditto. Dual screener, ditto. Get rid of stealth rocks, ditto, ditto, ditto. Latias can fit into so many roles, making her super unpredictable and also very fun to use. Her move pool is huge, just like that of Latios. She has great stats, a great ability and a flawless design. Latias has hands down the best design of all the Pokémon. The first moment I saw her, I knew I had to catch her, but I never knew that she would also be this good of a Pokémon. And there's something that also counts for Latios, but I haven't mentioned it yet. Latias is, stat-wise, one of the strongest Pokémon ever. So how strong is she? When she's holding a Soldew, her base stat total exceeds that of Arceus. Freaking Arceus! The god of Pokémon! The creator of the Pokémon universe! Her special defense rises to the point where only Shuckle has a higher special defense. Also, carrying the Soldew, she's only behind Mewtwo's Mega Evolutions as the second strongest Pokémon of all. And when Latias Mega evolves, she will be just below Arceus. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, isn't that totally OP? Well, it turns out it isn't. Latias is actually pretty fair in my opinion. She has enough weaknesses to bring her down. But that's a good thing. I don't want her to be broken. I don't want her to beat everything in one hit. Heck, if there's one kind of Pokémon I absolutely can't stand, it's sure the horribly broken ones. Yeah. So all in all, Latias has so many good attributes that I have grown to love her. She's everything good about Pokémon, and that is why Latias is my favorite Pokémon of all time. There is one itty bitty thing I don't like about the Ian duo though. Why can't they learn Flamethrower? I mean, they're freaking dragons. Why shouldn't they be breathing fire? Tell me, why can a piece of rock, a pile of sludge, a skunk, a fairy and a freaking water type learn Flamethrower, but a real dragon can't? How does that make any freaking sense? Please Game Freak, change this. But otherwise there's nothing wrong with them. This has been my top 10 favorite Pokémon. However, I cannot like every Pokémon that is out there, so click here to know what my top 10 least favorite Pokémon are. Thanks for watching, and until next time!